Deep in the heart of the Whispering Woods lived a very grumpy tree. He was the biggest tree in the forest, with thick branches and leaves that touched the sky. But the tree was not kind. He grumbled at the birds who sang in his branches. He snapped at the squirrels who scampered up his trunk. "Go away!" the grumpy tree would bellow. "Leave me alone!" The other trees in the forest whispered about the grumpy tree. They felt sorry for him, but they didn't know how to help. The animals stayed away, afraid of his harsh words. One day, a little rabbit hopped into the tree's shadow. It was a hot day, and the rabbit was tired. "Go away!" roared the tree. "My shadow is mine, and mine alone." The rabbit scurried away, its nose twitching in fear. The grumpy tree watched the rabbit go, a scowl on his face. He didn't care that he had scared the little creature. Being alone was what he wanted, or so he thought. Summer faded into autumn, and the leaves on the trees began to change colour. The wind grew colder, and the first snowflakes of winter began to fall. The other trees in the forest snuggled down for their long winter sleep. But the grumpy tree did not sleep. He had no leaves to keep him warm, and the cold wind whistled through his bare branches. "Ah!" shivered the tree. "I'm freezing!" The snow fell harder, covering the forest in a blanket of white. The grumpy tree felt lonelier than ever. He longed for the warmth of the sun and the sound of birdsong. But the winter was long, and the grumpy tree was all alone. One particularly cold day, a little girl walked through the forest with her grandmother. They were on their way home from the village, their baskets laden with winter supplies. The little girl, whose name was Lily, skipped ahead of her grandmother, her eyes bright with wonder. "Look, Grandma," she called, pointing to the grumpy tree. "That tree looks cold." Lily's grandmother smiled down at her granddaughter. "Yes, Lily," she said, "winter is a difficult time for everyone, but trees are strong. They can withstand the cold." Lily, however, couldn't help but feel sorry for the tree. She ran up to it and touched its rough bark with her mitten-clad hand. "You look so cold," she whispered. Lily dug into the basket she was carrying and pulled out a bright red scarf. It was her favourite scarf, the one her grandmother had knitted for her last winter. But looking at the tree, its branches bare and shivering in the wind, Lily knew what she had to do. She stood on her tiptoes and carefully wrapped the scarf around the tree's trunk. "There you go," she said, patting the scarf. "That should keep you warm." Suddenly, a voice spoke from behind her. "That was a kind thing you did, little one." Lily turned and saw a beautiful woman with long, flowing hair and eyes that sparkled like the forest streams. She wore a dress of woven leaves and carried a staff of twisted wood. "Who are you?" asked Lily, her eyes wide with wonder. "I am the spirit of the forest," the woman replied. "I watch over all the creatures here, big and small. This tree has been unkind, pushing everyone away. He has forgotten the joy of sharing and the warmth of friendship." Lily listened to the spirit of the forest, her heart filled with a mix of sadness and determination. She looked at the tree, the red scarf a splash of colour against its dark bark. "I want to help him," Lily said, her voice firm. The spirit of the forest smiled. "Very well," she said, "but it will take time and patience. The tree must learn to let go of his grumpiness and open his heart to others." Spring finally arrived, chasing away the last traces of winter. The forest floor was carpeted with wildflowers, and the trees burst into leaf. The grumpy tree, true to his nature, kept to himself, his branches heavy with new leaves. One sunny afternoon, Lily returned to the forest. She had missed the peace and quiet of the woods, the gentle rustling of leaves and the chirping of birds. As she walked, she saw the grumpy tree. He was still the biggest tree in the forest, but something about him seemed different. Lily walked up to him and smiled. "Hello?" she said. To her surprise, the tree replied. His voice, once gruff and harsh, was now deep and resonant. "Hello, little one," he said. "It is good to see you again." Lily gasped. She couldn't believe it. The grumpy tree had spoken to her, and he had used her name. As the days grew warmer, Lily continued to visit the tree. She would sit in his shadow, reading her books and talking to him about her day. And slowly but surely, the tree began to change. He allowed the birds to build their nests in his branches once more. He let the squirrels scamper up and down his trunk. And when the sun beat down, he offered his shade to all the creatures of the forest. Word spread throughout the whispering woods that the grumpy tree was no longer grumpy. Animals that had once avoided him now sought his company. One evening, as the sun began to set, the spirit of the forest appeared to Lily. "You have done well, little one," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "You have shown the tree the true meaning of kindness and generosity, and in doing so you have made the entire forest a better place." Lily smiled, her heart filled with quiet happiness. She looked at the tree, his branches swaying gently in the breeze. He was no longer the grumpiest tree in the forest. He was the kindest, and Lily knew that he would never be lonely again.